Welcome back to Spirit and Truth Yoga, the place where you can bring God onto your mat. Today we're talking about acceptance, and I don't know if you're ready for this to be over, but I'm ready for this to be over and to get life back to normal. I've also had a couple things going on this week that I just have been wrestling with, had a lot of hard days, and created this practice to help myself come to a place of acceptance. And I hope that you can come to peace with whatever you're wrestling with today on your mat, and some of these concepts can really help you in the weeks and days ahead. So let's get going, find your mat, and we'll get started. So today as we get started, we're going to start in child's pose. So come to whatever form of child's pose is most comfortable for you, knees together or knees apart, whatever is going to help you to come to a place of stillness as we begin this concept of acceptance. We're going to be doing a lot of poses with our head bowed, with our bodies in a humble and surrendered position. So I thought this would be a nice way to start today. Really connecting with your breath. With every inhale, breathing in freshness, newness, and life. And the exhale, just releasing the tensions, anxieties, or the battles maybe that you're fighting that lay behind you or are ahead of you. Just letting those go. Trying to find a full body release here. Make any little adjustments you need to, maybe to your feet, your knees, your arms, to just release. Just accept this moment, welcoming it, and being completely at peace. This fully surrendered position. James 4:6 says, God opposes the proud, but shows favor to the humble. Submit yourselves then to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Come near to God, and he will come near to you. Wash your hands, you sinners. Purify your hearts, you double-minded. Grieve, mourn, and wail. Change your laughter to mourning, your joy to gloom. Humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will lift you up. Really connecting here as we finish in child's pose with that concept of humbling yourself before God, allowing him to lift you up as you release all the weight of your body with one more breath into the mat, humbling yourself before God, releasing any fight, not making yourself be strong, but just fully letting go. When you're ready, let's come into a tabletop position. Hands spread wide under your shoulders, knees under hips, tops of the feet on the mat, coming into a nice neutral spine, stretching the crown of your head to tailbone, really elongating here. With an inhale, let's lift our right hand and our left foot off the mat, flexing that foot, reaching fingertips away from feet, breathing here. We're really going to connect a lot of our movement to our breath today. Releasing just the right hand. We're going to bring our left foot around, really pushing through that heel, And look over your right shoulder to your left heel. Or sorry, yeah, your left heel. Breathing, feeling that nice right side body stretch here. And with an exhale, slowly bringing it around to the opposite side, allowing it to hover over the carpet, looking, feeling that nice side body stretch. With our breath, we're going to tie this to our breath. With each exhale, we're going to move to the opposite side. So exhaling across, looking, breathing in, and exhaling, we're moving. The slower you breathe, the slower you move. Inhaling, exhaling with the movement, inhaling with the stretch. Do that a couple times with your breath. See if you can elongate that breath a little bit, moving with each exhale. One more. And with an exhale, we're going to come back to center, reaching that hand up one more time, one final stretch, pulling in opposite directions. Lowering hand to the mat, lowering knee to the mat. Maybe shaking those hips, finding some movement here. Tops of the feet on the mat, we're going to do the opposite side. Inhaling, right foot off the mat, flexing, reaching through left fingertips. Really elongating your spine here, reaching, breathing deeply. Lowering just your hand to the mat. Inhaling. We're going to reach the heel across to the left side. Look, glancing down at that heel, feeling that nice stretch. Flexing the foot. And with an exhale, sweeping it around to the other side. Really feeling that side body stretch on each side. Breathing in here with an exhale, sweeping it across. Breathing in, and with the exhale, moving. On your own breath and pattern, do that a couple times. One more time. Coming to the midline, reaching that left hand up one more time. Reaching, stretching, finding stability. Feeling that elongation from fingertips to toes. And releasing, hand to the mat, knee to the mat. Shake those hips, find some movement here. Maybe even doing some wrist circles. Waking up those wrists. Maybe even doing some heel circles. Just getting everything ready for our practice today. With an inhale, we're going to reach the right hand up for thread the needle. Sweeping it through. Bringing right temple to the mat. Finding stillness, surrender here. Letting it go. Coming to full acceptance. Maybe you're going to raise up that left arm if that's available to you. Maybe allowing it to open and fall behind your back. Whatever's available to you today. Finding yourself again in a full surrender. Humbling yourself in this position before God, allowing Him to make you strong, Him to lift you up. On your next inhale, raising that arm back up, releasing it to your mat, bringing a lot of energy to that left hand as you push your body up, sweeping right hand back up to the sky, Breathing and releasing, hand to the mat. Finding your stability here again before we move. Inhaling, left arm up. Exhaling, sweeping, arm through that hole, staying here, or inhaling that right arm up, or even releasing it down the back for a nice shoulder and chest opener here. Wherever you are, finding this surrender, this humility, trying with your breath to really release any tension you might be holding on to. With the next inhale, raising that arm up, lowering right palm to the mat, bring a lot of energy into that hand, connecting it to the mat to lift your body up. Raising up one more time and lowering to the mat. Again, finding a little bit of movement here, releasing that energy. And when you're ready, finding your way into downward dog. Pedaling out those feet. So we're going to spend a lot of time in down dog today. So just a couple tips with down dog. You really want to raise your tailbone to the sky, flexing those hips ideally. Letting those heels drop towards the mat as much as is possible. It's not the all end goal. And also another tip is allowing your ears to stay between your biceps, head nice and long, straight, long neck here, and rotate. It's tempting to rotate your hand, the weight in your wrist to your pinky fingers, but try to rotate your elbows almost like they're rotating out toward the edges of your mat, bringing your thumbs in. So really focusing on that, and that'll help you to have a more restorative downward dog. So as we're in our first downward dog here, really coming to stillness, finding some motion here, making those minor adjustments throughout the practice and throughout your normal practices to find your most restorative downward dog. Breathing here. We're going to look between our hands, stepping our right foot up for our first low lunge, dropping the left knee, flipping to the top of your foot. We're going to stay down for this first downward dog, really bringing that pelvis forward, finding some movement here. And we're going to do a series of this 3 times, and maybe you just want to play around here for a minute. We're really identifying in Matthew 26:42, Jesus says before he goes to the cross, "My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done." You know, Jesus was the ultimate example of acceptance and surrender, facing something he didn't want to do. And I know there's been some things this week I had to face that I really kicked and screamed against and fought with many tears. And this practice really helped me this week and come to a place of acceptance. But I thought this would be an interesting thing for us to do, a set of 3 as Jesus prayed 3 times. So whatever you're holding on to, trying to release that and come to a place of acceptance during this cycle. So here we are in our first low lunge, just coming to stillness here, releasing your hands to the mat, pressing back up into downward dog. Looking between your hands, stepping left foot forward, taking the same low lunge. Again, coming to the concept of, if this cup cannot be taken from me, your will be done. Sometimes you have to face things that we don't want to do, but trusting and accepting God's plan for us. Breathing here. Flipping those back toes. Stepping back into a plank. Lowering down. Finding whatever back bend you prefer today. Breathing. Lowering down. Pressing back into your downward dog. Looking between your hands, stepping that right foot up for a balancing low lunge. Keep those toes tucked, drop the knee. And this time, find your stability, raise your hands to heart center. Again, we pray, my Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done. Allowing those shoulder blades to drop down the back, reaching up through the crown of the head, maybe drawing that pelvis just a little bit forward, dropping into that knee, breathing deeply, releasing hands to the mat, stepping back into a downward dog, breathing here. Looking between hands, stepping left foot, balancing low lunge. Keep those toes tucked. Finding your stability, raising hands up to heart center. Your will be done. Reaching up through the crown of the head, dropping into that knee. Allowing those thighs to draw towards one another for stability. One more inhale, exhale, releasing hands to the mat, stepping back into plank pose, lowering down, finding your back bend. And on an exhale, we meet in down dog. With an inhale, stepping that right foot up for a high lunge this time. Balancing on that back foot, finding your stability before raising up. Dropping into that knee. My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done. With each exhale, releasing, finding acceptance, letting go of the things you don't like, breathing in, surrender, breathing out, resistance. With an exhale, releasing hands to the mat, pressing back into your downward dog. Breathing deeply here. With an exhale, stepping that left foot up, finding that same lunge on the opposite side. Find your stability before rising up. Your will be done. Your will be done. The next exhale, releasing hands to the mat, stepping back into plank pose, holding here, finding the strength of acceptance, drawing that navel towards the spine, one long line of energy from the crown of the head all the way to your heels, lowering down, finding your back bend, breathing, meeting in downward dog. Releasing your knees to the mat. Let's draw our hands along our legs, palms up, into this version of child's pose. Finding that full release, letting go. When you're ready, let's meet back in downward dog. Like I said, we're doing a lot of downward dog today. Pedaling out those feet. Let's come into our first three-legged dog. You're going to lift your right foot up, pointing your toes to the sky, stretching as straight as you can in that leg. Really lifting. Your hips should stay parallel to the mat here. And when you're ready, inhaling, sweeping up for our first warrior one, dropping that heel, shifting your feet even before you start to, shifting your hips, even before you rise to the front of your mat. You want your hips to be parallel with the front of your mat. Dropping into that knee, tracking that knee toward the pinky toe, pushing into the outer edge of that back foot. Coming into our first warrior position here. Part of acceptance doesn't mean that we give up, it just means that we're ready to fight. Breathing here. Accepting that you have to fight whatever battle maybe lies ahead of you. Finding the strength of this position. Let's interlace our fingers behind our backs here. Opening up the heart, looking up to God, acknowledging Him in this fight, acknowledging His will, accepting that, and slowly with control, lowering your right shoulder to your right knee into humble warrior pose. We have to fight with humility, with acceptance, acknowledging our God, knowing He's going to make our path straight. Breathing here, almost like your hands are pulling up with great control. Releasing those fingers, raising them up one more time, sinking into that knee, pressing into the outer edge of your left foot, lowering your hands to the mat, stepping back into plank pose, lowering down, finding your back bend. And with your exhale, finding downward dog. Breathing here, lifting the left foot up for your three-legged dog on this side, pointing those toes, keeping your hips squared with your mat. Try to remember to straighten your right leg, keeping it, that heel drawing towards the mat. Using momentum, sweep that left foot up to come into warrior one on the other side. Finding your stability before rising up. Again, your hips should be square with the front of your mat. Dropping into your left knee as it pulls towards your pinky toe. Pushing to the outer edges of your right foot. Interlacing our fingers behind our back, drawing our shoulders together, looking up to God. As we come to acceptance, trusting His plan, ready to fight the battle, lowering that left shoulder down to left knee, humble warrior, fully surrendered, and yet ready for battle. Allowing those hands to pull you back up when you're ready. Releasing fingers. Raising those arms back up overhead one more time. Drawing into one final strong breath in Warrior One. Lowering hands to the mat. Stepping back to plank pose. Lowering down to your back bend. Breathing here. Dropping knees. And coming into child's pose. Just letting it all go. Allowing yourself to be weak. Allowing yourself to be upset or to grieve is all a part of acceptance. Meeting back in downward dog. Lifting right leg up, we're going to try our dog twist. So bringing your heel down as you open your knee, like you're drawing a line from your mat up to the ceiling. And even pointing your toes, fanning open that knee, pointing your toes towards the ground as your knee tries to point up to the sky. Breathing here. Pressing into that left leg, allowing those hips to open as you distribute the weight evenly in your shoulders and your hands. Bringing that knee back down to center and drawing your knee like you're slicing the line up, stepping your right foot just outside of your right hand. Your heel should land just about at your wrist. Allowing your toes to open at a 45-degree angle, we're going to come into lizard pose here. So if you're a practice yogi, you might want to stay with a straight leg, knee off the mat. Lizard pose is a more challenging pose for me, so I tend to drop my knee to the mat, come to the top of my foot. Maybe this is it for you. Maybe you find a block or a blanket to rest on here, coming down to your forearms or to a block, or to have integrity just staying upright here in lizard pose, really drawing through the crown of your head. A nice long spine as you feel the energy of your hips being released. We hold a lot of our tension in our hips. There's so much emotion stored there, and so when we're anxious and having a hard time accepting our circumstances, our hips tend to tighten up. Allowing all that energy to be released here. Breathing deeply. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. God has such great plans for you. He wants the best for you. Sometimes we have to walk through a trial or be refined in order to get to the good stuff or just to make it to heaven. We have to trust that God has good plans for us. He doesn't want to harm us. The situation might hurt, but God's not in the practice of harming us. He's not a cruel God, and He has great things in store for you if we just don't give up. Flipping those toes, stepping back into our downward dog. Let's shake that Drawing the heel from side to side, almost windshield wipering that heel, allowing it to find some movement again, and coming back into our downward dog. Breathing deeply here. With an inhale, lifting the left leg up, coming to our dog twist here, fanning open the left knee as it reaches towards the ceiling, allowing that foot to drop. Your toe trying to reach towards the ground as your hips open toward the side of the room. Breathing deeply here. And when you're ready, coming back to center, slicing that left knee up toward the left foot, dropping the heel by the wrist. Foot should be at a 45-degree angle. Staying here, even dropping to your forearms here if that's available to you, or dropping your knee, coming to the top of your foot, or staying on your toes. Whatever is available to you today. You can lower down to your forearms here, or staying up, or resting on a block. Whatever makes this pose and this hip opener available to you. Again, remembering all the goodness that God has in store for you. We can accept when we know we're safe, when we know we're provided for, that God's in control, He has a plan, and it's gonna be all good in time. Coming back up to your palms with an inhale when you're ready. And stepping back into that three-legged dog. Really windshield wipering that heel from side to side, waking up that hip, lowering the foot down. Coming into downward dog. We take that dog twist again on the right side, inhaling that foot up, fanning open that knee, pointing those toes. Breathing here for 2 breaths. Slicing your knee towards your right wrist. And this time coming into pigeon, drawing your foot towards the center of the mat and inching your way back, elongating that back foot. Leaving hands on the mat, raising up, looking to God, coming to rest here. Rotating that heel toward the center of your mat, the back heel, so that your hips stay even here. And when you're ready, if it's available to you, resting on a block, coming down to forearms, even making a pillow with your hands, whatever helps you to come to rest in this wonderful hip opener, releasing all that energy in your hips, but also finding a place of stillness as we lower down and lower down, lower down to even greater acceptance and rest. Really flexing that right foot of the bent knee, really flexing that foot, having integrity, dropping your weight into your left hip, not allowing your weight to fall into your right hip. Slowly, when you're ready, coming back up to palms, taking a nice little back bend here, looking up to God, welcoming that goodness, setting our mind's eye, even with eyes closed on, the good plans He has for us. I know the plans I have for you. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to bring you hope and a future. Flipping those left toes, pushing back into downward dog again, maybe windshield wipering that heel back and forth to wake up that hip a little bit. One more dog twist, I promise, this is the last one. All right, left leg up, fanning open the knee, pointing the toes, really dropping into that right heel. See if you can come to stillness here. Any of those shakes are fine, but finding acceptance rather than resistance, or maybe you're saying, I hate this pose. A great time to practice acceptance, trying to breathe into any areas of resistance, lifting that knee just one more inch, breathing, inhaling that left knee to left hand, lowering that knee down, both knees down, inching, using your big toe to inch your right knee down the mat a little bit, dropping those hips. Finding stability in your palms here again as you set your mind's eye on God and the goodness He has for you. Trying to bring in that acceptance, flexing the left foot here, dropping the left knee. Breathing, and if it's available to you, lowering down to forearms, a block, folded arms, or even all the way down like you would almost child's pose. Breathing deeply here. Releasing all of that tension, all of that anxiety. Coming to full acceptance, surrender. Almost like releasing a pressure valve, if you have an Instapot. Letting it all go. All those things you've bottled up. Let it go. Don't let that right foot flop out, drawing that heel towards the center of your mat. Staying on the knuckle of your big toe. Flexing that left foot. Dropping into your right hip, not allowing yourself to collapse into that left hip. And slowly coming back up. Finding that back bend, flipping those right toes, pressing into your hands, sweeping that leg back up, maybe windshield wipering the heel here, coming into downward dog. One final breath here, parting ways with our downward dog. This is our last one. Tiptoeing the feet up to the top of your mat, finding a nice forward fold here. Getting two fingers, interlock them underneath your big toe. See if that can help you to really find a beautiful opener here as you're pressing into your feet, allowing your feet to pull your top body down, extending your legs, straightening your legs, breathing, again, trying to dissipate any of that energy we've built up in those legs and hips. Breathing deeply here. Releasing fingers, slowly inching your way up, one vertebrae at a time. Coming into mountain pose. Head's the last thing to straighten up, really fanning open your feet, eyes closed maybe, connecting with your breath here. In the beautiful stillness we've created, we're going to come into tree pose, sinking your weight into your right foot, sweeping arms up overhead, bringing hands to heart center, opening that left knee, fanning it open. Should feel much more open now than we did at the beginning of the practice. Leaving heel on ankle, heel on calf, or even bringing your heel all the way up to your thigh. Just remembering to fan open that knee as much as is available. With an inhale, raising your arms up overhead and breathing, finding stillness, focusing on that focal point, that drishti. The more you set your mind, the more still you will become. When you're ready, slowly with control, bringing hands back to heart center. Slowly releasing that leg. Shaking those legs out. Coming into the weight in our left foot. Rotating our right knee open. Staying on ankle, finding calf. Or coming all the way up to thigh. Whatever is available to you. There is no competition with yourself. When you're ready, raising arms up overhead. Finding that focal point, setting your mind on that, fixating on that to find stillness and acceptance in this beautiful pose. Although there are no sheep in the pen, no cattle in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord, and I will be joyful in God my Savior. Tree pose is a great pose of beauty and rejoicing. Rejoicing in God, even when we feel like we have nothing. Releasing, when you're ready, out of tree pose. Stepping your feet hips width apart. Open your feet about 45 degrees as we come into a yogic squat. So, feet hips width apart. Opening those feet. Bringing hands to heart center. We're going to lower down. Tucking the tailbone here. And maybe you can rest your elbows on your knees here. Maybe just staying on top. Maybe putting them on the inside. Allowing your elbows to open your knees just a little bit further. Coming into this great centering pose. Again, connecting with Habakkuk 3:17. Although there are no sheep in the pen and no cattle in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in God, my Savior. Even if we hate what's going on, we can still rejoice in God. Even if we have nothing, even if nothing is going right, we can still find acceptance, find joy. My mom always says, don't fight the wave, ride the wave. I've been doing a lot of kicking against what I can't control this week. And I hope that you can find some acceptance. Taking a moment to connect with that acceptance right here. When you're ready, releasing that, finding your way to your back. You're going to come into happy baby pose. You're going to be flat on your back, bringing knees towards chest. Grab the inside of your feet, extending those up overhead. Maybe you rock a little bit side to side here, and allowing yourself to release here, straightening those legs, allowing those counter forces to work together. And breathing deeply. Releasing feet back to the mat. Cross your right leg over your left, leaving your shoulders square on the mat. Slowly allow your knees to fall to the left side. Looking out over your right shoulder. Breathing deeply here. Maybe have goalpost arms or arms to your side. Bringing legs back up to center, uncrossing that right knee. Maybe windshield wipering your legs here. Bringing left knee over right, allowing both of your knees to fall to the right side of your mat. Looking out over your left shoulder, breathing deeply. Again, bringing legs back to center. This is a great moment for you if you're a yoga practicer to do some sort of inversion, or you can make yourself ready for Shavasana as we slow down, slowing your mind down, allowing all the heat and the blood and the energy we've created to travel to our minds, coming to stillness. Any thoughts that may enter, allowing them to leave as easily as they came. Take one big inhale and release. Coming into full acceptance. Wiggling toes and fingers, bringing movement and awareness back. When you're ready, roll to one side, taking just one more moment. And when you're ready, pressing up, leaving eyes closed. Finding a seated position. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to face the things that I can, and the power to know the difference. James 4:6, God opposes the proud but shows favor to the humble. Submit yourselves then to God. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. Come near to God, and he will come near to you. Wash your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded. Grieve, mourn, and wail. Change your laughter to mourning, your joy to gloom. Humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will lift you up. Drawing hands to heart center. Taking a moment to connect with God with whatever you're having a hard time accepting. Knowing that if we humble ourselves before him, he wants to lift us up. Letting your eyes open. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that you can find some acceptance for whatever you're going through. Whether it's mourning, grief, frustration, trials, or just utter boredom with how things are. I hope that today's practice helped you. Again, this is Spirit and Truth Yoga from John 4. Jesus teaches us we must worship in spirit and in truth. And I hope that you learned a little bit more about the truth of God today. And if you want to learn more about God's truth, please contact me. But until then, namaste.